Hello food fans, today we're going to have hamburger ground beef. This is 15% fat and 85% lean. They were out of the cheap stuff, the stuff I usually buy, 20% fat and 80% lean. But we're going to make a feature burger, a real expensive big hamburger. This 1 pound of ground beef costs about $7.50 at Walmart. They were out of the cheap stuff, as I said. And we are going to have some coleslaw. And we're going to have some fried potatoes. I like fried potatoes. And we'll have a secret dessert. So let's get started. While the pan is heating up, I'm going to open the package of ground beef. And I will place the meat. Tear off the label here. And tear off the covering of plastic. We don't want that. And what I will do is my copyrighted method of cooking a hamburger. We'll cook it on one side to begin with, and I will have leftovers. I'll probably just use half of that pound of ground beef. It is frying already. I'm going to add some onions and potatoes. Going to slice them. While the ground beef is frying, I'm going to open the package of coleslaw here, get my daily dose of cabbage, and we'll let the meat continue to fry. I shall flip this over and cook it a little bit on the other side. There it goes. Like that. And I'll let it cook that way before I add any of the potatoes and onion. I have about 1/3 of a potato, Idaho type potato, in here, sliced up, and I don't cook them according to a clock. I cook them according to the way they look in the pan. I want them to be mostly brown. I like my potatoes well done, and same with the onions. Now we lift this big guy up again, and slide underneath. Make a lot of noise. And it's starting to look like a hamburger, and I will slice this in half and make one big hamburger with some fried potatoes, fried onions, and the leftovers of the potatoes and onions I put in the refrigerator for long-lasting use. Time to slice this in half and make an 8-ounce burger here. And the leftover hamburger, leftover ground beef, will probably end up being part of a spaghetti meal. And we turn it like this. And I'll flip it over while I've got a spatula handy here. That cooked for a while. I like my ground beef well done. And now I'm going to turn everything over one more time. Potatoes, onions, and beef. and I will let it cook. Keep the heat on for a little bit longer, and get ready to have a sumptuous meal here. This looks good, smells good, and sounds good. I hope your day is going well. I'll let that cook for about 2 or 3 more minutes, and I'll turn out the heat and let it gradually cool off enough for me to have it for my lunch. Well, it looks good. I got the potatoes and onions all fried up in there. And on top of this particular piece of ground beef, I already have placed a dill pickle. So I'll put a dill pickle into the buns here. And have you seen the price of hamburgers recently at fast food places, or even if you want to try to make them at home? See if I can keep from getting the ketchup on me. That looks good. And this actually is a healthful meal according to the nourishment guides that I have seen. Getting plenty of fat, and fat, I don't know if you know it, fat is a vitamin. I wonder who discovered all these things like fat. Did people like fat when they first saw it? Very good flavor. Now, let me find, here it is, tomato. And I have a tomato slice on the ground beef sandwich or hamburger. Put this as a beginning. And tomatoes are very fresh. Onions have a lot of healthful ingredients, according to what I have read. And you can use an onion on your feature burger, your hamburger. You can use an onion either raw or fried. They're good either way. Now let's see if I can hold this without it being too hot. This is a big hamburger. Big beef sandwich. Very delicious. It tastes as good as the fat, low-cost burgers. That's good. Lots and lots and lots of protein there. Put that down for a second. I thought I'd talk a little bit about numbers.
things like when I left home 1956, going from Louisville, Kentucky to Los Angeles on my own. I was 17. I had about $400 that I had saved up from a 7-day-a-week job. I worked 7 days every week. I think we had Christmas off. Pumping gas at a service station. Selling gas for 26 cents. I think it might have been down as far as 22 cents a gallon. And I started work there making, I think it was 85 cents an hour that I started with, and then worked my way up to 90 cents an hour. And I saved $400. And my plan was to go to Los Angeles, be discovered in Hollywood, and I would get lots of money. Time for root beer. This is Barq's, B-A-R-Q-S. I like their root beer. 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 Have some more hamburger. I bought a bus ticket that was about $72 to go from Louisville to Los Angeles. So I had about $325 left. Lots of young people especially get the desire to go to Hollywood. They go to Los Angeles. They get a real job. And their dream of show business doesn't come true because they're not able to go on auditions since they're working a real job. I was lucky. The first few years I was in Los Angeles, I worked one show, Make Believe Ballroom with Al Jarvis. And of course I did not achieve stardom. But I began to see ways of piercing the armor of the walls that they have around movie studios. I moved to Las Vegas 1961, October 1961. And I managed, by February 27th, 1962, I managed to become a writer for a radio announcer. I wrote Comedy Alliance for a radio announcer. The reason I remember February 27th, 1962, that was Liz Taylor's 30th birthday. This is good. And my friend for whom I wrote comedy material had laryngitis on February 27th, 1962. I filled in for him, had never been on radio before, but I did his show for 3 nights. And I realized I could be a radio announcer. This hamburger is delicious. As I said, I will have only one hamburger, and the other will go into the refrigerator to be made into a different meal later this week. This could be a very special meal for someone for a birthday party or whatever. Just plain old ground beef made into hamburger sandwiches. I had the coleslaw earlier. I got a job in radio in Las Vegas. My first paying job was $2.50 an hour. Started up my own record company, produced records. Eventually got into movie extra work, which paid about $70 a day back in 1979. Bought my first and only brand new car. Bought a brand new car, January 1969. It was a Rambler station wagon. Over the years it worked in a lot of good movies. I'm going to get some more onions and potatoes here. Fried potatoes are very good. I got into the movie extra work. One of my first jobs was Melvin and Howard, the movie. I kissed Mary Steenburgen in the movie. For that I got extra pay. I made $100 that day. That was 1979. 1980 I moved to Los Angeles, started working a lot as an extra. Most days I made more than $100. And that is because in the movie business there's a lot of overtime. I became a cast member of a TV series, Dear John. I found out the pay is pretty good, but the residuals are even better. You get paid for when you do your work, if you're on your A card, which means Screen Actors Guild. If they rerun the movie in which you have a speaking part, you get paid again and again and again. And I was paid very well, and I still occasionally get checks for Dear John. We did 90 Dear John shows plus the pilot. That was good. Now, get this first. Burnt onions and potatoes are delicious. Time for root beer. And in Hollywood, the thing that pays the most is commercials. Time for the secret dessert, which is a pie, blueberry pie. And I put this into the carton. Put this into the carton. Commercials, depending on how often they run, each time they run on some network show, each time they run, they make a check out for you, and it varies on how much the check might be, but it is easy, not real easy. It's not as hard as it would seem for a person to earn $100,000 on one commercial. That's very, very possible. I would recommend show business for anyone who wants to be an entertainer and has the thick skin to not be bothered by negative comments about yourself. Secret dessert is good. If you're on an audition for a product for a commercial, it is very common for the casting director to say something like, "You're too tall, you're too short, you're too bald, you have too much hair, you're too old, you're too young." Next time you might get the part. I'm glad you could drop by. Thank you very much for visiting. Beautiful weather outside. And thank you for watching.